In a future world where the brilliance of technology and the constraints of humanity are deeply intertwined, a mechanical dog, its entire body gleaming with a cold metallic luster, is running desperately. An armed helicopter hovers overhead, closing in step by step. Behind the mechanical dog stands a boy with a solemn expression on his face, faced with the situation before him. He can't hide his extreme unease and anxiety. Suddenly, the mechanical dog stops in its tracks, staring at the young man in the distance with whom it has formed a special bond. It tilts its head back and lets out a grief-stricken and indignant roar. Immediately after, the mechanical dog resolutely activates its self-destruct sequence. A massive mushroom cloud, accompanied by thick smoke, soars into the sky. This thrilling scene thus kicks off the grand curtain of the fierce collision between technology and humanity, coldness and passion, loneliness and companionship. The story begins with the birth of this mechanical dog. There is an ambitious high-tech research and development company named Threat Tech, whose founder is Dr. Boring. He is working closely with the military, investing tens of millions of dollars to develop a mechanical dog named AXL. This mechanical dog possesses functions such as attack and damage capabilities, positioning and identification, and self-defense, all powered by full AI intelligence. From the original design intent, it is a cold-blooded killing machine that must unconditionally execute all mission orders from the military. Miles is a gifted professional motocross racer and is currently competing fiercely on the racetrack. During the race, Miles rides his motorcycle like a flash of lightning, speeding ahead and leading the pack. As he approaches the finish line, after executing a spectacular aerial maneuver, he is cleverly rammed by the rider behind him, named Ian. Miles' motorcycle tips over in an instant. When he gets up to check the condition of the bike, he finds that the chain is broken. There is only one final race left at this point. Miles' father is burning with anxiety. He finds the winner, Ian, and after praising Ian, he hopefully asks to buy a chain from him. Ian, flattered and complacent, is about to agree readily, but the cunning sponsor skillfully refuses. The father and son have to leave in disappointment. Coincidentally, Sarah, a girl who is painting nearby, feels deep sympathy for Miles. She secretly takes a chain from the sponsor and passes it to Miles on the sly. The father and son have no time to express their gratitude as they quickly install the chain and rejoin the intense race. With the close coordination and cover of his group of followers, Ian takes the lead and charges ahead. Miles follows closely behind without fear. At a dangerous curve, Miles uses extremely skillful tactics to overtake Ian and dash across the finish line. Ian accepts his defeat gracefully and congratulates Miles in a dignified manner. He also warmly invites Miles to his private party. Miles politely declines, saying he still has to go to work, but his father suggests that he could make some new friends and might even encounter a wonderful romance. It is only then that Miles changes his mind. On the other side, Dr. Boring from Threat Tech is facing a tricky problem. The mechanical dog AXL that he has painstakingly developed has escaped from the laboratory for unknown reasons. This puts Dr. Boring in a passive and difficult situation. In an instant, he issues an order to his assistant, Jack, commanding him to dispatch drones immediately, without delay, to conduct a blanket search within a 100-kilometer radius, on a dark night with a howling wind, on a remote hill. The escaped mechanical dog is warily watching the bustling city. Miles arrives alone at Ian's party venue. When Ian sees Miles coming to his luxurious party, he is overwhelmed with excitement. To show off his strength as a wealthy heir, Ian, in front of everyone, uses a flamethrower worth only $2 to recklessly set fire to a car worth $50,000. Miles is deeply disgusted by this mindless display of wealth. He leaves the crazy and noisy crowd and goes to a garage at Ian's house, where he sees several expensive motorcycles, and can't help but admire them with great curiosity. Fate is always so wonderfully unpredictable. Sarah, who had long noticed the unique Miles, also quietly comes to the garage. Sarah and Miles share an indescribable and subtle affection for each other. Before they know it, the seeds of affection have quietly taken root and sprouted amid their mutual admiration. Back home, Miles' heart remains unsettled for a long time. He tells his father, who is repairing a machine, about his troubles and frustrations, complaining about how an underachiever like Ian has unearned family resources, and especially expressing his intense displeasure at Ian's arrogant and overbearing attitude. His father encourages Miles to set lofty ideals. Miles immediately makes a vow that even without the support of resources like Ian's, he will strive to achieve outstanding results in the National Super Motocross Championship Series. On the other side, Dr. Boring from Threat Tech answers a video call from Captain Helen of the military. Helen presses Dr. Boring, demanding that he hand over the developed mechanical beast within 2 days. Dr. Boring conceals the truth that the mechanical dog has escaped, and at the same time orders his assistant Jack to have the drones continue the extensive search. Miles accepts Ian's invitation and goes to a remote racing venue. Miles sincerely performs his signature Takachev jump. Ian, with ulterior motives, calls Miles over to chat, while secretly signaling his men to add impurities to Miles' fuel tank. At the moment, Miles, unaware of what's happened, rides his motorcycle to perform a jump. the motorcycle suddenly stalls, and both the bike and rider tumble down the hillside. The tragic scene is filmed in its entirety. Ian leaves triumphantly with his men, rejoicing in Miles' misfortune. Miles watches Ian's convoy drive away, drains the contaminated fuel from the tank and refills it with fresh gasoline. But the motorcycle still won't start. At this moment, Miles hears an unusual sound coming from a distant abandoned container. Driven by curiosity, Miles throws a stone at the container, and then cautiously goes to investigate. Miles pushes open the slightly ajar door, and a mechanical dog with red light emanating from its eyes appears before him. Frightened, Miles turns around, gets on his motorcycle, and tries to escape. At this moment, the mechanical dog quickly locks onto Miles, and issues a pursuit command against this intruder. Miles exerts all his strength to flee for his life, his heart filled with fear, as the mechanical dog chases closely behind. At the critical moment, Miles leaped into the air using a section of the terrain, but the mechanical dog ran out of energy mid-pursuit, fell to the ground, and was impaled by an iron pipe. Miles cautiously returned to check on it, and found that the mechanical dog was wearing a specially made muzzle, with fierce red light flickering in its eyes. Miles knelt down and locked eyes with the mechanical monster. The mechanical dog quickly identified the unfamiliar Miles, and based on its programming logic, it determined that it was under threat, so it activated the self-destruct program. Yet Miles, unaware of the danger, took off his helmet and tried his best to calm it down. Finally sensing the kindness of the person in front of it, the mechanical dog deactivated the countdown in the last second. Miles had no idea he had just narrowly escaped death, and was only amazed by the sophistication of this technological creation. Seeing that it no longer seemed intent on attacking, he pulled out the steel bar from its body, and the pair of glowing red eyes instantly turned sapphire blue. At the same time, Miles' phone received a connection request from the mechanical dog. The mechanical dog was asking Miles for help. Miles learned from his phone that the mechanical dog's name was AXL, so he dragged the mechanical dog back into the container. Miles inspected AXL's damage, and found obvious gunshot wounds on its body. The mechanical dog granted Miles authorization through its program, and transmitted the repair data to him. Miles took out the toolbox that came with the mechanical dog, dismantled valuable parts from his own motorcycle, and carefully repaired the mechanical dog, topping it up with 97-octane gasoline. At this moment, the mechanical beast was fully restored. Miles carefully removed the muzzle from the mechanical dog's mouth. Behind its terrifying steel teeth were various rotating mechanical gears. The mechanical dog named AXL nudged Miles' helmet with its mouth, signaling that it wanted to compete with Miles in a motorcycle skill contest in the venue. Miles started the motorcycle and took a couple of simple laps. The mechanical dog signaled to Miles to increase the difficulty level. Only then did Miles drive off at full speed. The scene of Miles riding his racing bike, and the mechanical dog chasing each other in the venue, was extremely visually stunning. They shouted joyfully towards the sky, enjoying the happy moment. Threat text drone swarm quickly locked onto Miles and the mechanical dog's location. Jack requested permission to disable the mechanical dog's system, but was stopped by Dr. Boring. He wanted to observe the mechanical dog's interaction with humans through the visual sensors to obtain first-hand research and development data, and Miles had become the ideal test subject. Sarah drove over to find Miles. The mechanical dog detected the arrival of the stranger Sarah. Its program quickly switched to attack mode, and its eyes turned red instantly. It jumped onto Sarah's pickup truck, ready to attack at any moment. Miles rushed over to stop it, telling the mechanical dog that Sarah was likely his future sister-in-law. The mechanical dog identified Sarah again, and its program determined that Sarah was acceptable, so its eyes turned back to blue, and stored Sarah's personal information as a close relationship. That night, Miles and Sarah discussed how to accommodate the mechanical dog. Sarah suggested that they should help it return to threat tech, but Miles, looking at the bullet holes on the mechanical dog, judged that the research and development company might have treated it inhumanely, and couldn't bear to see the mechanical dog abused. Again, the mechanical dog seemed to understand their conversation, sending a cheerful song to both of their phones. Even more miraculously, the mechanical dog switched to song and dance mode, creating Cupid effect laser lights for Miles and Sarah. Along with enchanting beat-matching music, Miles and Sarah danced happily, gazing into each other's eyes, while the mechanical dog watched silently, as if blessing them. At Threat Tech's laboratory, Jack had investigated the 3 generations of both their families. Sarah had been admitted to a prestigious university, but her mother was heavily in debt, and like Miles' father, unable to afford their child's education. He believed that with a small bonus, they could persuade them to return the mechanical dog.
We were 6 months behind schedule. This level of development puts us ahead 5 years.
Dr. Boring believed the interaction between the mechanical dog and Miles was the missing subject in his research and development, and wanted to continue the research through the remote visual sensors. Early the next morning, with the help of the mechanical dog, they successfully got the skidding vehicle moving again. However, the mechanical dog was no ordinary stray cat or dog. Figuring out how to take it away and where to keep it were both difficult problems. At this moment, Sarah suddenly thought of her secret base. Thinking they could hide it there first, the mechanical dog, which had been listening intently, jumped into the back of the truck without waiting for instructions. They covered it with a white cloth and left the area. However, when passing a gas station, the mechanical dog gave them another surprise. It stared wide-eyed at the fuel pump, and easily hacked into the refueling system, filling the tank without spending a penny. And an even bigger surprise was yet to come. With another sharp glare from its mechanical eyes, it hacked into the nearby ATM, and countless banknotes flew out instantly. The two were delighted but also a little flustered, hurriedly stopping its actions, nervously grabbing all the money and hurrying away. Sarah didn't come home all night. Sarah's mother asked Ian about her whereabouts. Ian was also pursuing Sarah, and tracked Sarah and Miles' location through phone GPS. At this moment, Sarah was creating graffiti on a wall, while the mechanical dog used light to draw a vivid feather pattern, according to Sarah's hand gestures, and activated its initial program to reveal the core secrets about AXL to them. It turned out that the mechanical dog was developed based on the trust relationship between dogs and humans, a mechanical combat dog with a living animal heart, co-developed by the military and threat tech. By biologically pairing with a designated soldier, it would unconditionally execute all mission orders from the administrator, possessing powerful destructive capabilities, network search and attack functions, and a series of unimaginable superpowers, and even a self-destruct program in case of capture by the enemy. Miles and Sarah looked extremely serious, realizing that AXL was a military combat weapon. Shortly after, the mechanical dog's mechanism ejected a circular biometric key, signaling that it wanted Miles to be its trusted owner. Miles didn't hesitate to press his finger on the biometric key, and the mechanical dog and Miles achieved synchronization through a blood bonding process. Things began to spiral out of control. In the laboratory, Dr. Boring and Jack were stunned when they saw the synchronized footage, realizing that every step of their research now depended on Miles. Just then, Ian arrived in his mini dune buggy, specially used for picking up girls. Ian was furious. He had thought that with his family's power and his own charm, he could just snap his fingers, and Sarah would throw herself into his arms, never expecting that Sarah would be interested in Miles. Sarah and Ian got into a heated argument, and when he saw Miles, Ian became even more enraged. Ian wanted to teach Miles a lesson in front of Sarah. At this moment, the mechanical dog rushed out. Ian was pinned to the ground.
Okay, this has gone far enough. We need to get a team in there right now.
Hold on. Let's see this play out.
Sarah was pacing around anxiously, while Miles felt a great sense of relief. Yet he couldn't actually kill Ian, so he ordered the mechanical dog to drag Ian over. The obedient mechanical dog let go of its claws and took Ian's ankle in its mouth, dragging him over to Miles. The once arrogant, wealthy young master was now lying on the ground like a dead dog. Miles warned Ian not to harass Sarah again in the future, and only let the mechanical dog release him after Ian cowardly begged for mercy.
He's alright. You can't hurt him, okay?
Yet his casual remark made the mechanical dog mistakenly think Ian was also a friend, so it added Ian to its list of protected individuals, little knowing this action would bring catastrophic disaster upon itself. Dr. Boring was overjoyed to see the mechanical dog flawlessly executing Miles' orders. But Jack worried that if the mechanical dog harmed Ian, none of them would escape legal liability. Sarah's mother was a housekeeper for the Ian family. Sarah feared Miles' actions would provoke retaliation from Ian. Miles realized his impulsiveness and sincerely apologized to Sarah. Sarah suggested Miles should tell their parents about this troublesome matter, and repeatedly instructed the mechanical dog to stay put. Back home, Miles told his father about the mechanical dog. His father confirmed AXL was a military product and advised returning it immediately. But in the evening, Ian led his men to take revenge on AXL. The mechanical dog didn't attack when Ian arrived, because it had been ordered by Miles not to harm Ian, so Ian sprinkled fuel all over the ground and lured the mechanical dog out. The mechanical dog walked out looking confused. Ian told his men to start a live broadcast, picked up a flamethrower and set the mechanical dog on fire. The mechanical dog realized Ian's malicious intent, but it was too late. In its final moment, it closed its eye shield. Sarah received the live video on her phone and pulled Miles out to run, leaving the biometric key at home. At this moment, they didn't notice the biometric key was emitting a red danger alarm. Ian's actions caused severe damage to the mechanical dog. Its system crashed. Popularly speaking, it lost all signs of life. Dr. Boring and his assistant Jack, staring at the screen, were furious at Ian's reckless actions. When Miles and Sarah arrived and saw the mechanical dog's body scorched by fire, filled with anger, they received a distress signal from the mechanical dog. Miles and Sarah placed the mechanical dog in the car and took it to a safe location. At the same time, a mysterious agent arrived at Miles' house and threatened his father, claiming Miles had stolen national security information, demanding he hand over the biometric key. but neither of them noticed the key lying on the table. The mysterious agent rummaged roughly through Miles' garage looking for the key. Miles' father was disgusted by the agent's behavior, drew his bow and arrow, ordering him to leave immediately. Dr. Boring was extremely angry when he saw what happened. Seeing that things had spiraled out of control, Jack secretly sent an email to Captain Helen. Following AXL's instructions, Miles and Sarah took the mechanical dog to a 5-star intelligent mechanical repair shop. The two top students quickly 3D printed the damaged parts and repaired the circuits according to the blueprints. The mechanical dog's program indicated the repair work was complete, and a 2.5-hour wait was required for the system to restart. Miles and Sarah waited patiently for the mechanical dog's system to restore. As time ticked away, Miles and Sarah stared silently at each other, their two passionate hearts drawing closer and closer. Dr. Boring located AXL and sent 2 more mysterious agents to search for it. When Miles and Sarah noticed the situation, they hid in the workshop. At this point, the mechanical dog system repair progress had reached 99%. Just as one of the mysterious agents was about to put a muzzle on the mechanical dog, AXL was fully revived and knocked the agent unconscious. The mechanical dog reloaded its memory program, which showed Ian had harmed it. Enraged, the mechanical dog insisted on seeking revenge against Ian. Miles and Sarah sensed the gravity of the situation and chased after it immediately. AXL spotted Ian at a gas station and prepared to strike when the opportunity arose. Ian sensed something was wrong and drove away. Ian held another grand RV festival. At the lively bonfire party, Ian was extremely excited. His men filming the event spotted the mechanical dog arriving. The mechanical dog, with its terrifying metallic luster, caused great panic. People scattered in chaos. Ian hid under a car. The mechanical dog easily locked onto him. Miles and Sarah also arrived at the scene. They saw Ian attacking the mechanical dog with a flamethrower. When the flamethrower ran out of fuel, Miles approached the mechanical dog and stopped AXL from delivering a fatal blow to Ian. But just then, more troubles came one after another. Threat text drones flew to the scene. Dr. Boring remotely controlled the drone swarm to launch a dense attack on the mechanical dog. The terrifying electric current released left AXL defenseless. Agents came over and put a muzzle on it. They then took Sarah and Miles to Threat Tech's laboratory. Dr. Boring demanded Miles hand over the biometric key if he wanted to live, claiming the mechanical dog was his personal property, a supercomputer program he had written, a mechanical weapon for the military to deploy on the battlefield. To force Miles to submit, Dr. Boring told Jack to lock Sarah in a laser cage in front of the mechanical dog, threatening that if Sarah took even one step out of the laser cage, the mechanical dog would attack. Sarah drew a feather pattern with a laser pen. The mechanical dog recognized Sarah, so it broke free from the control wires covering its body, and turned to pounce on Dr. Boring and Jack. Dr. Boring and Jack fled in embarrassment, but as soon as they stepped outside, Dr. Boring was detained by the arriving military personnel. In the laboratory, Miles was warned that illegally possessing military property violated federal law, and was ordered to hand over the asset and leave within 30 seconds. Sarah decided to pretend to surrender, while Miles and the mechanical dog quickly escaped under Sarah's cover. Captain Helen called for air support, authorizing shooting if necessary. Military programmers remotely locked onto and monitored Miles. Miles rode his motorcycle, winding through the mountains with the mechanical dog. As military helicopters hovered closely above in pursuit, Miles and the mechanical dog reached a steep slope. With no way out, they had to leap into the air. Miles, along with his bike, and AXL, tumbled down the steep slope. Together, Miles lay on the ground, looking in great pain. The mechanical dog scanned Miles and found his arm was fractured. AXL refused to leave Miles behind, but Miles shouted at the top of his lungs, "AXL, leave me alone, you have to get away quickly." Heartbroken and reluctant to part with Miles, the mechanical dog whimpered repeatedly before turning to flee. At this moment, the drone swarm arrived, launching repeated attacks on the mechanical dog. The mechanical dog ran desperately, while uploading protected data to the cloud. Its program indicated the probability of escape was 0. Its final mission now was to protect its programmer and owner. Miles, AXL, with drones clinging to its body, used its last strength to run to a safe distance, staring at Miles, who was still watching from afar. Its eyes, filled with longing and reluctance, seemed to say, "Farewell, my dear Miles." AXL stared at the hovering helicopters and let out a grief-stricken roar, then activated its self-destruct sequence. A black mushroom cloud soared into the sky, and Miles' heart shattered into pieces. 6 weeks later, Dr. Boring was accused by the military of illegally uploading code and data related to the mechanical dog on the dark web, involving the leakage of national defense secrets and endangering citizens' lives and safety, and was brought to justice. At the same time, Miles and Sarah decided to leave this place of sorrow. Though they had lost AXL, they had gained a sincere love and adopted an adorable and silly Siberian husky. The once confused Ian seemed to have matured a bit, because his family had spent a fortune to smooth over the incident. Captain Helen discovered that the AXL code developed by Dr. Boring was still being restored and reorganized, and ordered him to cooperate with the military to continue the research on the vast, endless beach. The affectionate Miles and smiling Sarah played and chased each other. The sea breeze gently brushed their faces, and the warm sun bathed their bodies, as if wrapping their love in a romantic wedding veil. Miles and Sarah stared deeply into each other's eyes, their faces brimming with happy smiles. Away from the familiar city, away from the noise and chaos, the world at this moment seemed to consist of only the two of them. Miles received a letter from his father. His father's familiar handwriting came into view on the paper. Inside the envelope was also the biometric key. Miles entered his fingerprint to activate the key again. At this moment, both Miles and Sarah's phones received a message from the mechanical dog at the same time. They smiled knowingly at each other. It turned out that the mechanical dog AXL was alive in the form of cloud software, which meant this affectionate mechanical dog would be with them forever. The film ends here. When the alarm from the military laboratory pierced the night sky, the mechanical dog, endowed with loyalty by its code, escaped with bullet holes and faulty programs. AXL opens with the most straightforward sci-fi conflict. This bionic robot developed by a military-industrial enterprise was supposed to be a weapon-laden battlefield tool, but after an experimental accident, accidentally formed a bond with the withdrawn teenager Miles. Using the classic narrative of escape, symbiosis, and redemption, the film transforms the hardcore technological setting similar to Boston Dynamics' Big Dog into a heartwarming interspecies adventure. The film's most striking breakthrough lies in the visual presentation and functional design of the mechanical dog. Unlike the futuristic mechs commonly seen in Hollywood sci-fi films, AXL's design is closer to real-world bionic technology, with a streamlined metallic body covered in non-slip textures, hydraulic devices at the joints expanding and contracting with running and jumping, and even capable of rolling and wagging its tail just like a real dog. This realistic design grounds the sci-fi imagination in reality. The film takes human-machine emotion as its core anchor, yet falls into the narrative clichés of youth films. The bond between Miles and the mechanical dog is built on mutual redemption. The withdrawn teenager opens up while repairing AXL, and the faulty robot awakens self-awareness through human kindness. This setup inherently has depth, but the emotional development is too hasty. Miles fully trusts this military weapon in just a few days, and the mechanical dog instantly breaks safety protocols to protect humans, lacking the millennium-spanning emotional depth seen in AI artificial intelligence. As a mid to low-budget sci-fi film, AXL cleverly avoids the logical pitfalls of hard sci-fi, but also misses the opportunity for in-depth expression. If measured as a family-friendly sci-fi film, AXL is undoubtedly competent. The sincerity in the details of the bionic design, and the emotional resonance of the human-machine bond, are enough to make the audience overlook logical flaws, but it is more like a diluted sci-fi drink, possessing the flavor of bionic technology, yet failing to precipitate profound reflections. Perhaps the true charm of sci-fi lies never in mechanical precision, but in the heart that yearns for connection beneath the technological exterior. If more polish had been applied to the narrative, this work could have become a sincere contribution to the bionic sci-fi genre.